Okay guys, today let's talk about how to drastically lower your living expenses. So this shouldn't be a life goal, of course. This is rather a temporarily solution to get ahead, because let's face it, now we are going through rather difficult times. Our wages are, salaries are not keeping up with the higher cost of living, which will get only higher, by the way. So you may want to downsize your life. You may want to cut cost, okay? So here are a few hacks to drastically lower your expenses. So the first being, of course, I know everybody says it, but it is true, to not get a car payment, okay? You don't need a new car, okay? Second-hand cars are perfectly fine. They are even better sometimes. They are cheaper to buy, cheaper to own. The parts are cheaper. Insurance will be cheaper most likely. And they are more reliable, okay? For example, when I see what's happening here in France with the newer French cars, they are expensive to own, they have a lot of problems, they are a pain to cope with, okay? You rather get yourself an older German or Japanese car, which was well maintained, and will cost you maybe, I don't know, depending where you're from, between 3 up to 7,000 euros, no more, okay? Which will be perfectly fine, okay? And yeah, you don't need a new car. Why you want a new car? To show off? Why for, okay? Now you want to cut cost, okay? It's not time to show off now. Of course, don't get yourself a sports car. Don't get yourself, for example, a Audi S3. I'm sitting in now. This is my Audi S3. Because, for example, an Audi S3 will be not too expensive to buy, but rather expensive to own, okay? So don't get yourself a sports car. Get a, pretty lame second-hand car, okay? Which was well maintained. That's important. Even though it has, 200 to 300,000 miles on it, doesn't matter if it was well maintained, okay? If it's a Japanese or German car, of course. Secondly, move into your parents' home. I know it's laughed at in the Western world, but in some countries it's pretty normal. If you move into your parents' house, if your parents have a big house, of course, I know it's not the case for everyone. If you are in good terms with your parents, which is not the case for everyone as well. But let's say you are on good terms with your parents, your parents have a big house. Why don't you move into your parents' house? You will have less expenses. You don't have a electricity bill anymore. You don't have a water bill anymore. You won't have to rent, of course, and to give your money away to strangers. You rather, keep your money into your family. If you want to pay your parents every month to help them, cope with the bills because you're living in their house, why not? It's better, okay? You give money to your parents. You don't give money to a stranger who will get only richer with your money. You want your parents to get richer. You want yourself to get richer. You don't want strangers to get richer, okay? So keep your money in the family, okay? Yeah, and it will always be cheaper than renting, an apartment or a house nowadays. And coping with all the bills that come with renting something, okay? It will be cheaper and smarter. So I know it's very unpopular in the Western world, but you don't have to live with your parents forever, even though you are 30, 40, 50 years old. Just move into your parents' house, okay? No matter what people will say around you, maybe they are just jealous, of course, or maybe because they want to cut their costs as well, but they don't have any way to. They can move into their parents' house. So if you can move into your parents' house, do it. You don't have to live into your parents' house for years. You can just move there for a few months, a year or two, in order to save money, for you to invest later on in something, in a business, for example, or move to another country, or buy a better car if you want to. Or invest in something later on, an apartment which will be yours, for example. But it's a good way to save money and to lower your living expenses drastically, okay? Even though it's not forever, of course, you most likely don't want to live with your parents for 10 years. You could if you wanted to. No shame, okay? In some countries it's even normal. For example, in Asia it's normal to live with your parents, your grandparents, your children. They usually all live together. In Russia, I mean in the countryside, especially in the Russian countryside, you know, the wages are so shitty that there is no other way to do. You know, if you want to survive, if you want to make ends meet, you will have to move into your parents' house, and to live together. Otherwise, it's too expensive to rent. Okay, to rent and to go with all the bills. You know, for most people, so they tend to live together. Anyway, let's move on. Another, of course, way to cut expenses is to not go into restaurants, go out, buy expensive food. For example, here in France, going to the restaurant will cost you at least 70 bucks, okay? 70 euros, 70 USD, it's almost the same now, for two, okay? Which is expensive. If you spend 70 bucks, you know, on food every 2 days, at the end of the month, it's a lot, yeah? It's a lot, you know? So you rather, you know, pack your food, buy groceries, pack your food. It will be cheaper, of course, healthier, and you can always enjoy, you know, the countryside, you know, have a lunch, you know, near a lake or somewhere in the mountains. It can be nice, you know, to pack your food and to eat somewhere. You don't, you know, packing your food isn't necessarily, you know, worse than going to the restaurant. I would even go as far as to say, I prefer to pack my lunch to eat somewhere in the countryside, in nature, breathe fresh air, have a beautiful view, rather than, you know, eat in a cubicle in a restaurant and spend a lot of money for basically nothing. Even though, I have to admit, in France, food is amazing, okay? So here are a few hacks you can use right now, you can implement right now to drastically lower your living expenses. Tell me in the comment below what you guys think. If you have some more ideas to lower your living expenses, leave your comment below. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Smash that like button, of course. And yeah, talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys.